The 2023 Western Conference Finals are set between the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights, breaking down the matchup, series price, our favorite picks, as well as our series predictions, all here in this video. Welcome back to Edgework here on the Hammer Betting Network with our second and final series preview of the third round of the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs. This one between the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights. As we get into the series preview, break down the numbers, the series long bets, what our favorite picks in it might be, as well as our series predictions. We will often be referring to the Pinnacle Sportsbook. Pinnacle is the world's sharpest sportsbook and available to bettors in Ontario. You can find out what professional bettors have known for decades. Pinnacle is where the best bettors play. You must be 19 plus in Ontario. Please play responsibly. Not available in the US. Thank you to Pinnacle for sponsoring these shows here today. Greatly appreciate that. But we will be referencing these numbers. And as we do, let's start with the series prices here. So money, we're looking at Vegas opening on this one at minus 144, a 59% implied probability of winning this series against Dallas so far. Currently sitting at plus 124 on Dallas. What were your initial thoughts here on the series price that we've seen coming out of this one? Was this expected, short, long for either side? And then on top of that, was there kind of anything exciting for you to jump in on when you saw these prices?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at where Dallas opened. I did play Dallas for the series. I just thought that Vegas opened too long there. So I do have Dallas here, and I still think that there's a value down to there's value on Dallas here down to a plus 120.
And Alex, I know that you have some pre-series stuff, some pre-playoff stuff on Dallas here. That's been the big thing on the Edgework show is the support of the Dallas Stars so far. But, I mean, you see this price open up. We know there's going to be a little bit more hesitancy to maybe jump onto a series price given what you already have going into it. But when you saw the number open up on Dallas like that, was there any extra pull for you to kind of maybe get involved here again on the Stars in this one with the price that it was?
Yeah, they're tempting me. They want me to keep betting. I'll keep betting. It is what it is. I definitely thought it would be a little bit shorter, a little bit closer to pick. I think we're getting Dallas a little bit undervalued after being pushed to 7 games and maybe not looking great at times. Ottinger getting pulled a few times, and Vegas being overvalued after beating Edmonton in a series where they were overall just outplayed really across the 6 games. Don't think anyone had Aiden Hill shuts out Connor McDavid in the on their bingo card for that series, but it happened, and credit to them. They found a way to win, but really, I think that we're overvaluing them a little bit here coming off that series, and same thing with Dallas, just a little bit undervalued coming off that series.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just going to hop in there because I completely agree with both the guys here. Vegas, how did we get from Vegas being the underdog with the home ice advantage against the Oilers in the previous round? Yeah, they won the series, but I think, as you know, Alex mentioned, obviously Aiden Hill being the surprise, quality goaltender on the one end. Maybe it wasn't all that surprising necessarily that the Oilers got absolutely no goaltending on their end, but I think that's the direct reason on why Vegas won the series. I hate to boil it down to that, but we've talked about it over the course of different Edgework shows during the series. If the Oilers got any kind of a goaltending, effort out of obviously Stuart Skinner, as they kept rolling him out there over and over and over again, we wouldn't be all just really sad the day after and the night of the Oilers getting eliminated, as this trio or quadrant of us were all kind of bummed out about that. And so I just look at this and I was kind of expecting this, pretty similar price because they don't have the Stars rated that far beyond, further down from the Oilers. I really only have it at a 2% difference. The Oilers is a 2% better team. And by the way, we haven't mentioned our guy, Jake Ottinger, right? I expect, and even though he had some struggles against the Kraken, we talked about this last Tuesday, about that maybe the Kraken just kind of nowhere to shoot on Ottinger because they had some regular season success and obviously chased him a couple of times in that series. I don't expect Ottinger to be Stuart Skinner in this series, and so if we're removing the good news for the Oilers in the future is that they kind of really, and we said this last year too, and they didn't really do it, but they only really need to replace one position. There's a lot of teams right now that are sort of shaking their heads in the offseason going, what went wrong? It's an easy pinpoint for the Oilers. Their goaltending stinks. Not the issue for the Stars, right? And at least I wouldn't expect it to be the issue, though. Again, you never know when it comes to goaltending, right? We never know in the Aiden Hills of the world, who there's one prominent sportsbook out there who just completely forgot to list him as on their Conn Smythe odds. So, which, again, it's just kind of all you need to know about Aiden Hill, where people are just forgetting that he exists. They literally have Logan Thompson on their Conn Smythe trophy odds. And so, yeah, to me, this is kind of the same team, only you don't have that fatal flaw with the Dallas Stars as you did with the Oilers. And so I don't really understand why you're getting a decent price here with the Stars.
Well, so Money, I want to ask you about the goaltending situation here, because on one hand, we look at Ottinger with Dallas, and he's gotten yanked a couple of times in the past couple of series here. It's not like it's been the Jake Ottinger that we saw last season in the playoffs, where he stood on his head and had a 66 save performance in Game 7 against the Flames, where he has struggled a little bit, and then he's had his on games, and then back to the off games. But all in all, we know that Jake Ottinger is a guy who could show up and just be absolutely incredible, kind of out of his mind performances. Now flip over to the Vegas side, where you've gone through Laurent Brossoit. You have Jonathan Quick sitting there. You have Aiden Hill in net right now. Logan Thompson's not even available to go at this point in time. You have all this movement, all this rotation going on in their goalies. They're still finding ways to get it done, but throughout the course of a 7-game series here, head-to-head, Jake Ottinger against whoever it may be there for Vegas, likely Aiden Hill at this point. How do you kind of foresee that goalie matchup going down? And do you have concerns about Jake Ottinger going sieve on us in this round here?
Well, I think Matt just alluded to it as well. With all due respect to my guy Skinner, we have a drastic upgrade here to get to Jake Ottinger, who is the best goalie left amongst the teams right now. So with the other thing about that Vegas series is that they actually didn't generate as much offensively as would indicate based on the amount of goals they scored, right? So they were very opportunistic. Their shooting percentage was sky high, right?
So Money, they were 4 of 8 in even strength high danger chances in that
exactly.
last game. That is unheard of. So you're
right. So
that. It's crazy.
I mean, that's a direct reflection on your goaltending, right? And I don't envision that going forward. So Vegas will have a tougher time scoring goals in this series than they did in the last series. And also on for Vegas's goaltending, I think you have to look at the style of play that Edmonton wanted to play, and they couldn't get their game there, right? They couldn't generate the speed. Vegas plays a tight zone defense, so if you want to shoot from the perimeter, they will let you. Edmonton, it was not comfortable with that. Dallas is very comfortable playing that game. They're okay generating chances from the perimeter, and then they take their chances in front of the net to try to win the battle, right? So I think that the way that Vegas plays defensively is more conducive to a Dallas's offensive style of play. So I think that would generate. I think that Dallas will have more success 5-on-5 than what the Oilers did in terms of scoring goals.
And the thing about that too is the Oilers had a lot of success at 5-on-5 still, right? They still had a 54.5% expected goal share at 5-on-5 in that series. And now, Dallas is just a tougher matchup. And you alluded to it, Dallas can beat you in so many ways. So Money, there you go. That just worked out. They also, and then you look at the goaltending, obviously, so Vegas didn't create a ton. Stuart Skinner, -7 goals saved above expected in this playoffs. Jake Ottinger has only been at -2 at 2.5 or so, which is obviously there's going to be some regression to the mean. This is still a very good goalie. Also, you don't want to put a ton of stock into something like this, but this is a guy who mentally is just so unbreakable, where he does not lose 2 games in a row, and he's able to make those bounce back performances. It's very hard to beat this guy twice. And, over the course of a series, you're probably going to have to do that. And if you want to beat this team, and then you look at Aiden Hill. I mean, he played the last 4 games of that series, and save 5.5 goals saved above expected. I mean, that just shouts regression. I don't think that that's going to continue. This is an offense for the Stars that is just as dynamic. They're able to actually beat you with more lines. It's not just about shutting down that one line. Edmonton has depth, honestly, more than we've seen from them in the past, but their depth just didn't really produce, and it kind of went away when they needed it. And that hasn't been the case at all with Dallas. If anything, like that Dallas top line with Robertson just isn't scoring, but guy was at like a 70% expected goal share over that second round series. The goals are coming, and then they have the Ben line that can beat you. You know, they have the Sagan line that can beat you. It's just kind of a bit of an onslaught, and I think that it's just a tougher matchup for Vegas here, and just a lot of signs point to them having a much tougher time beating this Dallas team than they did Edmonton, because they were able to just get goals off limited chances. And I don't think that's going to be the case here, at least not on a consistent basis like it was against the Oilers.
All right, kind of gone through goaltending situations as well as forward depth and how those guys match up. Last thing I'm going to ask, because it was something that was keyed on a little bit in the previous series preview, so if you haven't checked that out, make sure to go over in this playlist as well. You could find us talking about the Carolina-Florida series preview if you haven't checked it out already, but coaching matchup here. Pete DeBoer, Bruce Cassidy. We see both these guys relocate teams this offseason. Now, I mean, obviously, Pete DeBoer coming across was with Vegas at a point there. Now, switching over with Dallas, has found a way to get something out of this team, kind of drag them into his style of play, and along with him, seems to be a guy who can get the most out of teams. But Bruce Cassidy flipping over to Vegas has kind of instilled some of what he had in Boston, whether it be the mindset or strategy and just overall outlook of the team. If you're going to look at these two coaches, Matt, is there either a guy that you would maybe give an edge to here in the head-to-head?
Listen, only if it goes to Game 7. Only,
Yeah.
right? Only if it goes to Game 7. You know, like I see it, you know, it's easy to kind of paint sort of a narrative around like this coach bringing this or that. Honestly, when it comes to coaches in the NHL, if everybody just rotated every 2 years, you know, I think, you know, which is kind of honestly how it works anyway, like that would be fine with all of these teams, right? Like every 2 years, if you just got a quote unquote new voice in the room with a decent quality coach, you're probably going to get a little boost every single time, right? Like that's just kind of how it works in the NHL. So I don't even know that. I mean, obviously both these guys are pretty good coaches. I don't know that there's an advantage one way or another, but if you've got a guy who's 7-0 in Game 7s, probably rely on him. That's if it even goes to a Game 7. And honestly, I'm not really sure that this series necessarily does.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Final couple things we'll get to here, our favorite picks, and then we'll get to our series predictions. So in terms of best bets in this series, so money, whether it be your favorite bet, some way you'd be looking to play this one, what do you have between Dallas and Vegas in terms of your best bet or your favorite picks?
So I do have Dallas for the series. I still like them now. I would have liked a higher number on a Jason Robertson to score more to score the most goals in this series. I think that I completely agree with Alex with the idea that the goals are coming for him. They just haven't come yet. So I would have liked a better number on that, but I am on Dallas to win the series.
Okay, and currently it's sitting at plus 124. What
Yeah.
would you be interested in playing that to? Is there a number that's a cutoff point for you? Like, how do you kind of foresee the number even moving maybe?
I think that Dallas is going to take money, and I wouldn't play it lower than plus 120 at this point.
Okay. And Alex, favorite bets for you in this series?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment too. I'm also on the Stars. And I mean, if you are into something a bit more of like a slightly longer price, Stars to win Game 1 and win the series is a decent look too. I think you can get like some plus 250, probably even longer on that when it opens up more widely. And I think that's a good look too.
And Matt, you're going Aiden Hill, Conn Smythe. You're putting in a special request here. Is that what's going on?
That's right. As soon as this the certain book adds Aiden Hill, I'm jamming it. No, I've been the Stars. Speaking of things in the playlist, feel free to go back down to the Wild Stars preview from a month ago. I've been on the Stars from the get-go along with Alex, so I'm already positioned on them with the Western Conference plays. I've got, a handful of guys for the Conn Smythe. And when it comes to, quote unquote, the best bet, the bet that I like the most, the bet that I would keep on betting is Miro Heiskanen right now is still available in certain places at like pretty astronomical Conn Smythe odds. And if you're watching these games, and listen, sometimes, especially in the first round, also, kind of in the second round as well, especially considering they start a little bit late for some people, you might miss, actually watching these games with a keen eye. And if odds makers aren't watching these games, they're not aware of the fact that Heiskanen is the best player on the ice basically every single night, especially with Ottinger getting pulled a handful of times. That might kind of hurt his candidacy down the line. But I think the most important thing to realize here, and this applies to Heiskanen, is that we are, strangely enough, it doesn't feel this way because we're all exhausted, we're only halfway there when it comes to an actual, Conn Smythe candidacy, right? We have 2 more series that are, by the way, 2 more important series than the series that have already happened, especially when it comes to recency bias and all of that kind of thing when it comes to the voting. So no, Heiskanen does not have a goal yet, right? His point production dropped a little bit in this past series because he was certainly cranking out assists in that in that round 1 series. But he's sitting around at 33, 40, even I think I saw 50-1 in a certain place for him to win the Conn Smythe. You throw a couple of goals on that resume and people actually paying attention to this guy, that every offensive attempt by the opponent basically gets quelled as soon as the puck hits this guy's stick, as he, pivots away from the defense and he makes the smart play to get the puck out of the zone. And he starts a lot of these rushes up the ice that end up ending in, Rupe Hintz type goals. And Hintz is the leading scorer right now. But as Alex sort of inferred with regards to Jason Robertson, again, the longer the sample size, the more the sort of cream is going to rise to the top. And so we might end up with a full split of Pavelski and Ben and Hintz and Robertson all kind of having roughly the same amount of points. And if Heiskanen has just a couple of, fewer points and is just absolutely dominant the way that he has been with these over 30 minute per game, like that's the type of thing that when you're watching it every single night and it's the only game in town, so to speak, that you're going to be like, this guy is ridiculous. Add on to the fact that his face blew up a couple of games ago. And it's like, how is this guy priced the way that he is? And so, I've got him at, really high prices that haven't really changed all that much, despite the fact that the Stars' win probability for the Stanley Cup has gone up quite a bit. And so right now I've got, obviously him, Ottinger. Alex mentioned that he has Hintz. I also have Jason the Ghost Robertson to win the Conn Smythe. So hopefully he comes back to haunt the opponents in the last couple of the series here, because we're really looking forward to him showing up. But now I got to start positioning myself on some other guys just in case this goes badly. And I look at the Golden Knights, and right now, we haven't mentioned it, Jack Eichel's the favorite in the Conn Smythe market. Like, that's kind of really just a weird thing to say out loud, but I also don't think it's a very good bet when it comes to, honestly, all 4 of these teams are kind of pretty close to equal to have, it's kind of a 25% across the board type situation for each of these teams, especially since we, sort of kind of almost think the wrong team's favored in the Western Conference final. So I looked at, I'm just looking at defensemen in a lot of these cases, because you have a lot of these teams where the offense isn't necessarily coming from all one guy, or the one guy that it's coming from, in the case of Hintz, is a guy that like maybe isn't going to sustain that necessarily. Like Sebastian Aho, speaking of the Eastern Conference, like he's right up there and all. He's got 10 points in this postseason. Like, it is wide open right now. And I think there's going to be a lot of defensemen, the Brent Burnses of the world. And when it comes to the Golden Knights, Alex Pietrangelo is well over 50-1. And that's a guy who, again, same thing with Heiskanen, right? He's a very important player, couple of points, maybe a couple of power play goals, find their way through. And if the sort of worst thing that happens to us anyway is that the Golden Knights get through, you can't tell me that he isn't one of 3 guys, especially with the fact that the Golden Knights might be on their 3rd goaltender by the time they get to the Stanley Cup final. You can't tell me that, Pietrangelo isn't potentially, a top 2 candidate with Eichel, with Mark Stone right there. And he's not being priced the way that Stone and Eichel are. And I think that's incorrect.
All right, fair enough. So a couple different Conn Smythe players to look at there for some futures bets and maybe get on a little bit early. But final things we'll look at here in this series preview are Just flat out predictions. Taking the betting aside, just predictions. Who wins? How many games? Matt, go to you first on this one.
We mentioned liking the Stars in kind of all these different markets, and when you like the Stars sort of macro to win and you like them from an odds perspective, pick and choose your favorite one. I kind of like Stars -1.5 at this point. Now I know like that doesn't account for the ace in the hole with DeBoer's Game 7 record, but again, like I said, I don't know that it necessarily gets that far. So give me the Stars in 5, but I'll bet the Stars -1.5, playing on the idea that they get it done before 7.
All right, there you go. Stars in 5. So, Money, your pick and prediction?
Can you come back to me last? I just want to make sure that we don't have a panel sweep here.
Yes, we'll do that. Alex, where are you at with this?
I'll go Stars in 6, and Evgeny Dadonov, Russian daddy. He scores 5 goals in this series, big series, and levels out the playing field on offense there for our Heiskanen Conn Smythe futures. There you go.
I was just gonna say I'd be fine with that.
All right, so Money, you're in the clear here. We at least have 2 different. So we got Stars in 5, Stars in 6. What is your pick and prediction?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Vegas in 4.
Nice.
No, I'll go Stars in 6 here.
Okay, I'm gonna go Stars in 7. I think that this one might get stretched out here again. Battle back and forth. Pete DeBoer, 8-0 in Game 7s. That's what we're looking for. And then he can be the new Mr. Game 7, snatch that title away from Justin Williams. But thank you guys for taking the time to do this preview here today. Greatly appreciate it from all of you. For anyone watching right now, if you enjoyed the content, please make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Like this video, subscribe here to the Edgework HQ YouTube channel, as we have games coming up throughout the course of the next couple of weeks for the conference finals as well as the Stanley Cup. We will be live here on the Edgework HQ YouTube channel doing daily picks and previews on game days. So on non-game days, there will be no shows, but on game days, you can expect to find us here live as well. We will have one more final preview for the Stanley Cup Finals, so you're going to want to see that as well. Hopefully you can find some more insightful information in that. If you enjoyed the content, if you liked what we had to say, if you disagreed with anything we had to say, drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts as well. Were we right, wrong? What side are you on? What's your favorite bet? We want to know. Let us know in the comments below. But thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. Enjoy the conference finals and good luck on your bets.